All right. Well, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is. And welcome everybody to episode number 75 of my GEMP game review series. I am your host, Chris Gogolin. Welcome, welcome. Just give me a second here while I get everything loaded up and then we'll get started. Of course, we'll promote our recent upcoming or soon to be upcoming events, the Match Play Championship. Running out of time to sign up for that. We're already over 40 players who have submitted their pre-registration for the tournament. It's a 64 person bracket, so there's only a few slots left. So make sure that you sign up for that as soon as you can. A lot of names missing from that list, and I'd hate to see people miss out on a spot and an opportunity to play. Sans coronavirus, because I'm sure we'll all be nice and healthy by then. So, and huge thank you for renewing your subscription for month number 17. Thanks, Kevin. We appreciate it, and looks like I'm due to renew my subscription as well, although mine will not be nearly as long as yours because I did not have an Amazon Prime account for a while. Just click that magic button that says subscribe for free because that's what it cost me, nothing. But there you go. There you go. 10 months. Not bad. Just 2 more months and I get to give myself a foil card. But as I mentioned, the Match Play Championship, we're up to 41 players now. So 23 spots left in that tournament. Only 20 days left to sign up, so 3 weeks from yesterday. Um, that gives us time to get the brackets and stuff done and posted. I've got some extra prize support being thrown around by B. Fred, so that might perhaps make it a little bit more of an incentive for you to attend. But pay close attention to this hotel booking link that is only valid for one more week. So you have a week to book your hotel rooms at the discounted rate. After that, maybe we can find a way to get some more, but more than likely you're going to end up paying the regular, group or the regular rate for the hotel, which I think is like 150 to 160 bucks a night instead of the 120. So it's a pretty decent savings per night. You're going to be there 2, possibly 3 nights. So it could cost you 100 bucks just by not pulling the trigger and pushing the reserving a room. It's not a complicated process. Doesn't take very long to do, and the savings obviously is pretty significant. So make sure to get that done and get yourself registered through the PC store. And we'll see you in New Brunswick in 5 weeks. And we'll have a lot of new set 12 cards to play with. If you watched the Hollow Theater show this week, you got to see the rest of the list. I believe a lot of it is here in the announcements. Somewhere in here. Tweak set, full spoiler, update. Yeah, this one. Get to see all these cards that, slowly a few have been released. And here's the updated list with some more stuff going on there. Obviously, you know, Jerry and Dan went through all these cards, gave their impressions of them last week. I won't completely bore you with mine for the next hour, hour and a half, but there's a lot of good cards in here, and obviously some of these may still get tweaked before the final release. As we get some additional community feedback, these tests, these cards were play tested pretty well, um, and the design and development teams put their 2 cents in about what they liked and what they didn't like, and what information they got from play testing to kind of mold these. But I should get some more uh, public response to these cards now that the text has been posted. There are always some last minute tweaks or maybe some things that they were on the fence about that they might tone back a little bit or realize they need to increase a little bit. Like maybe they're looking at I don't know, Vader's custom tie and going, you know what? We made some tweaks to this card. It's still not good enough. It's still not going to see play. We need to do something a little bigger to it. So let's make it a pilot of ability less than 5. I don't know. Cancel game text of a pilot of ability less than 5 here. Ability 4 pilots that would actually hit that and make it interesting. It's probably not going to change too many things, but just an example. I don't even think they're going to do anything like that, but hypothetically, you could see little tweaks like that to some of these cards. Cards may get cut at the last minute. I've been reading some forums. This guy seems to be a hot button topic right now uh, in certain groups in terms of why are we making this guy? Um, between no idea and having 25 spies, it's already hard enough for Darkseid to play 2-0 sites. Now you're going to give them basically a Tantive, where they put guys there, make it a battleground, and then when their guys die, your guys are stuck there, and it's a non-battleground, or he moves away, and then you end up chasing R2 around the Hollow Theaters, the Executor sites in a hunt down deck, where it's a battleground when he's there, and it's a battleground. It's not when he runs away from the opponent, so they can't do it. I mean, you wouldn't force train because you'd put your hunt down objective out of play, but still, little things like that. The Cloud City Security Tower, the blockade flagship sites, the Invisible Hand. I might have I think they're all 2-1s. Um, Maybe there's a 2-0 in there. But still, sites like that. There's plenty of sites that have scomp links that are 2-0s for Darkseid that kind of makes you wonder. Like, this is a throwback card. It was IL-19 in Legacy, um, but it's one of those cards like, why do we need this card? And that's kind of been the feedback that we've heard. I've heard a lot. I've been reading in the chat, and I'm sure D&D is paying close attention to some of that stuff. This is Slack chat, by the way, um, and some of it too. And I'm sure there's a lot more talk behind the scenes and in private groups of just what this card could add to the light side dynamic when light side already has a lot of great options. And it's like, how do you not just throw this guy in like a throne room deck and then go make a second battleground to get around Coward for a little while and take over your opponent's sites? Go take over Vader's castle or whatever. I'm sure there's scalp links on some of that stuff. So, doesn't seem all that practical as a card in an already light side uh, favored meta. Oh, excuse me. Went down the wrong pipe. But there is the spoiler list, so you can find it. They hope to have it released in 2 to 3 weeks, at least the PDF. With the graphics, people can print it out, do your arts and crafts, and cut, and build your decks and get some practice games in before the MPC. And all those cards can be found here. And of course, subject to change. And that's really about it. The OCS is going on. We're going to take a look at the leaderboard for that in just a second. Still plenty of games to play. Obviously, we've announced the World Championships in October. That is still on as planned. 6 months from now, or 7 months from now. So plenty of time for things around the world to change between now and then. But let's hop over to GEMP. I accidentally closed that window by mistake, so bear with me for a second. And we will see what is going on here. We've got a set your course against Hitco matchup going on here between Polymers and Time of Yuppie. I'm going to open that window real quick. We'll just pop in and see what this game's going on. Uh-oh, someone played Taco Bell's card. What? Which one? I believe Taco Bell may also be playing his Gem PC matchup tonight. Set your course, Polymers. He's got the Emperor holding down the Death Star 2 Death Star docking bay with the objective. It's a long-standing strategy in Set Your Course using Emperor or Sidious, who are completely immune to attrition, to lock down the docking bay. If you can find ways to keep them from getting hit, they take no battle damage because of the objective, and completely immune to attrition because of their text. Obviously, Legend hurts that a little bit because they're capped at less than 5. And that certainly hurts that strategy. But otherwise, It's a pretty good way to satisfy battle plan, battle order. So then you can play a bit more space heavy. We've got Fet and Slave 1 and Zuckuss camped out at Kashyyyk. That looks like Tarkin aboard Mara and ship at Mustafar. Drain 2, Drain 1. Not the greatest in a space heavy scenario. And he's got plenty of battlegrounds, but he's shield busted and doesn't have resistance out. That would have limited this drain to just 2. Instead, he Polymers takes 3. Loses Baron, Justice, and Dengar. Dengar. Character's about to be hit by Dengar, may be captured instead. If he's about to be hit while escorting a captive, the captive is hit instead. Dengar just seized a rebel or a smuggler. Opponent loses a force. Interesting. Wonder what he's working there. All right, Matt's going on a suicide run here with with Rey, with lightsaber. She's going after Vader. I'm sure she'll hit Vader. Yep, and get a force retrieval out of this. He's already a bit ahead in life force. What do we got? 11, 23 to 15. Plus he's got more cards in hand. He'll get the retrieval aspect out of this. Of course, Rey will end up dying here. Oh, maybe not. Maybe Vader's going to miss. Masterful move. That'll do it. So Rey's hit, and now you're left with the dilemma. Do you force your opponent to play the Hoojix? Or do you let the battle continue? Yeah, do you let the battle continue and force your opponent to play the Hoojix and hope that they really have it? Or do you just Dr. E and take her off the table? If you don't know your opponent has the Hoojix, obviously you have to let the battle play through. If you know they have it in hand, it kind of has to go off of 2 with what else you have left. He's down to just 5 cards in hand and just a few cards left in Life Force here. It's probably not a bad idea to operate on her there, get her off the table, and keep this so you can, you have your battlegrounds to drain anyway. It's just an extra drain of 1. I probably would have let the battle go through, just to be honest there. First strike was out as well, so we got an additional retrieval. I probably would have let the battle go through just to make him play the Hoojix. But of course, there's no earthly way that Matt, when he's ahead by this much, what do we got? 22 and 13. That's 35 to 20. He's got a 15 card advantage. And he's just going to suicide Rey into a group of characters without a Hoojix. But by grabbing it the first time, if you have anything else you can deploy to reinforce this a little bit, you make it harder for when Rey comes back the second time. So, like we saw, he resilienced her back into hand. Now he's just going to throw her right back down and battle these guys again, get a 2-4 swing from first strike, and her game text when she hits Dr. E. And since he's going to add Maul anyway, I definitely would have made him play the Hoojix the first time around. Now he's just going to track around the same destiny. Oh, Kylo too. Really overloading that one site. Depending on what he's got in hand, it might have almost been worth it to send at least Maul over here. Well, Maul's not going to do much against Ahsoka, of course, but if he has a Gick, that could be a good way to block this drain and clear some stuff out here. But having the first strike in hand kind of makes it tricky, because obviously you're going to get drained. And then he's just going to get the force retrieval from the first strike and raise weapon text. So Polymer's quite a bit behind in this game. There goes a force field. There goes a You Are Beaten. So there go some of his trick cards as well. He's down to just 11. 14 total. 17, 20, 31. Yeah, so he's really far behind right now. And even though he's not paying to drain, he's not really out damaging his opponent. 2 and 1 versus 3 is even. Plus, light side is the one initiating the battles, getting the first strike ping. So, unless he had an opportunity earlier in the game when an opponent had like no force left or something to really use this, putting this down may have been a mistake. So, we'll hop back out of this game since it seems pretty evident there. Looks like I just saw Jin about to hit the table as well. That Matt is going to pick up the win in that game. But we're going to take a look real quick at the old OCS leaderboard. Coffee Pass still sitting at the top of the leaderboard right now at 10-2, but with only a 36% win percentage. It's unlikely to hold up throughout the rest of the month, but of course we have to see how the rest of everybody else's games play out. It's kind of a big jump right now because you've got a few people who have finished their games and a lot of people who have a lot of games left to play. Here's some guys who are 4-1 all in this block right here. So they still have quite a few games to play. Only 5 games played so far. So 4-1, great start through 5 games, but you're not even quite. You're just under halfway to go. And if you kind of replicate that out, you're looking at 10-2, 9-3, somewhere in that range. And depending on who they play and who they pair up with, win percentages could possibly get above 25%. He's going to need some improvement there. Could obviously pull ahead of Coffee Pass. And then you go down here and you've got the next group of guys that these guys are all 3-1 right in here. And then you've got a bunch of people who still have a lot of games left to play. Still a lot of games left to play. And next week's show, we will reveal what the March OCS foil will be. I already have it in hand, so I can show that off. So if you're on the fence about getting all your games in, you can get a sneak peek at which foil card will be handed out, or foil slip will be handed out for March as well. But still have that going on. We got the GEMP PC. I don't know if that bracket's been updated yet, but let's take a quick peek and see where we are at on that. We're in the Sweet 16. I believe now all second round games have been completed. So we're here in round 3. Certainly some interesting matchups. Interesting to see when these guys play and get their games in. Like I said, I believe Taco Bill mentioned early in chat he's going to be playing his game possibly today. Maybe we can catch part of this to stream it. Maybe not. Close ads. I hate this. I like this version of the bracket a bit, but there's so many ads on this site, it takes forever to load sometimes. Oh, we did have one person advance. Kipple already advanced over Dylan. That game took place over the weekend, I believe. I just caught the end of that matchup, so that's where we're at there. So the winner of my game against Jeremy will advance to play B. Kipple. I think we're trying to play this week too. Possibly tomorrow night. We'll see how that goes, and if our schedules align, we'll try and get that done. I don't know. You guys watching? Which side would you think I should play first against him? Light side or dark side? See how far behind we are in chat. Looks like not too far. Maybe only 10 or 15 seconds. Nobody has an opinion, or am I just not seeing comments? Let's try reloading. Maybe I'm not seeing comments again. Maybe Twitch is being stupid. Which decks do you have? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I've got these to play. Nice try, Belugo, but I'm not giving away that information. Light first because it's stronger. That is certainly the one thought process is play light side first because it's conceived to be the stronger side, and then you know what you need to do damage wise with dark side to kind of mitigate or whatnot. The other side is that light side is one that has a lot of the retrieval. So if you play dark side first, then you know, all right, I need to retrieve all these cards with light side in order to, offset whatever happened in game one. So, yeah, worth a shot. Always worth a shot. Never hurts to ask, right? All right. Well, while we wait for, it doesn't look like we've got a whole lot going on here other than, advocates playing Mind What You Have Learned. Apparently, he never learns. He never learns that that's not a good deck. He just keeps playing it. It's in the title of the card. Gotta get him signed up. He just paid for the OCS, apparently trying to repeat his 0-12 performance from February. If he's playing Mind What You Have Learned for 6 light side games, well, I don't know that I'd consider light side to be stronger if you're playing Mind What You Have Learned. So, um, no. I kid. I keyed. All in good fun. All right, let's take a look at our featured game of the week. We'll pop into that. This was submitted to me by Marines28, who begged and pleaded and whined and begged and pleaded for me to review this game in my show because he says he really wanted to get my thoughts on Legend. So apparently he hasn't watched my show because I think I've done like 7 Legend reviews. But it just so happened that he's playing against the Set Your Course deck, and we haven't seen and featured a lot of Set Your Course stuff. Luckily, it happened to coincide that Polymers was just sort of playing it there. But he's taking on JustShy here, and you can look at that one of two ways. All right, we're going to pause this in a second because we got some interesting stuff going on. Interesting username as to whether or not he is a shy person, or the fact that he was the world's runner-up, that he came up just shy of a world championship title. So he's going to be JustShy, Kyle. Kyle's running quad drive yards, pull systems, makes sense. Play some ships, combat response. Oh, he's going to use those for ships instead, so he's just using this basically to pull systems. Then he's starting an extra grabber. Marines, aka Brian, started Wackling and Saitor. No real surprises there, but he did start Thrown Back, which is an interesting grabber. While no card stacked here, may stack opponent's just played interrupt here. Opponent may use 3 force to place an interrupt here in used pile. Once per turn, place a card from hand on bottom of used pile. So let you, once per turn, cycle back some cards out of your hand, put some of your higher destiny stuff that you're not really needing, maybe stuff that's meta specific against a particular deck or opponent. If you're not playing them, some wasted card slots, and if you're not getting force strained, or if you happen to draw some high destiny cards and you're like, I want to put this back so I can track it easier, Thrown Back will allow you to do that. Jared says he lost to this deck from Kyle in this month's OCS, as did Coffee Pass, who was also 10-2. Okay, all right then. Well, now I'm really going to spoil Kyle's flavor then. Hang on. Let's go see where Kyle is in the old standings. JustShy. He's right here. What's that? 3-5 this month? So he's killing both of your opponent win percentages. Maybe if Kyle picks up some wins with this deck, he can give you guys a little boost in your strength of schedule. Um, or perhaps his light side deck is the one that's just killing him, dragging him down. It's okay. The grabber part is interesting, but your opponent can just pay 3 force to put the card in their use pile. So you grab something, you basically just keep making them waste 3 force to get their card back, which can be good, unless, of course, they happen to be activating like 16 or 18 force and they're wondering what to do with it all anyway. Then it's just a minor inconvenience, and then it actually could help set them up to track it later, because they can do it at any time, So they do it at like the end of your turn. They just save a few force and then they spend 3 and then put their high destiny card back. And now they know, hey, if I want to use a weapon, I've got a really high card and then I've got 3 cards underneath it. One will probably hit your guy, and then I've got 2 more for battle destiny draws and whatnot. So your opponent can use your card to their advantage to help with their tracking, and that is always a bit of a risk. Seemed like a lot of anti no idea tech. Okay, should be interesting. He did start the grabber. We'll get matching grabber shields. We'll get a goldenrod, I guess in case he's going for a blizzard 4 or something like that. Kyle's going to get the war room out, get an extra 2-0 for activation. Kuat probably for Mustafar. Mustafar for Vader's castle. Yep. It's a very quick activation jump. Oof. Also, one thing I noticed, Brian chose to start this site, the Antechamber, to download an alien, as opposed to the Maz's Castle main site, which then gets you other sites, such as this one. That's interesting. Really not sure where Marines is going with this deck, but with JustShy getting a big activation boost right off the bat, with starting with a decent ratio, getting 2 icons from his opponent, and then pulling 6 icons of his own. Ooh, Kyle does draw up to 13, which is a bit dangerous if you happen to know Marine's track record. He loves playing Grimtosh and Monarch in his decks. Spoiler alerts. So drawing up to 13, just a tad risky. Alright. He just pulls the saddle. No Luke available, so I guess Luke is in the force pile, or Luke is one of the cards he used. Get a look at some more cards in his deck as he's drawn here. We see Honor. Some of you may not be familiar with Too Close for Comfort, which is a pretty good defensive card. If your character was just targeted by a weapon, opponent must use 2 force or the targeting is cancelled. This is a pretty solid card. It's a used 5. When you combo that up with the new Luke Rebel Scout, who makes them pay 1 to target your guy, they may not have 2 force behind it. Same thing with you see in his hand Cal Alder, who does the same thing as Greedo. Unless he's with Luke, opponent must first use a force to fire a weapon at same site. So you make them spend force to fire the weapon and then play this and then 2 more force, which can really limit their ability to swing multiple weapons, to play interrupts in battle. If you've got draw their fire out as well, you can really kind of choke your opponent. If you happen to make them spend some of their force using this on the ground, then maybe a gold leader in gold 1 keeps them from drawing destiny in space. It certainly has a lot of variety to it, a lot of applications. So there's some interesting combos that you can pull off with that stuff to really kind of force deny your opponent a little bit. All right. JustShy is going to grab a Saber 1, and then he's going to reveal it and match up for Baron. Actually, didn't even reveal it. He had Baron in hand already. So he's just going to go Baron to Mustafar, draw a card back to 12, and pass and leave the other 9. Well, there's the gold leader. There's the Luke. Looks like he's got mace and a lightsaber. It's probably some other... There's an EPP Obi in hand, of course. Probably see an Anakin's lightsaber somewhere in the deck as well. So he... Galaxies for the Jedi Village. While Luke here, opponent must first use 1 force to fire a weapon anywhere. While Luke here, destiny draws for Sense and Alter are also +2. So Sense Alter protection, and then opponent must first use a force to fire a weapon. So he's really going for the anti-weapon text here. between using a force for this, using a force for Cal Alder, using two force for too close for comfort. He's really selling out hard on the anti-weapon choke strategy, and that could certainly be interesting depending on. And this is anywhere that this text. And Kyle will pay the 3 force and put his card back. There's something with the system too. Once during any deploy phase, you can use a force to relocate Luke between sites. So you kind of camp Luke where you need him, and then during any deploy phase, you're like, oh, my opponent might be coming down with weapons to battle me. I need to bounce Luke over here to make them pay more. That's another interaction that I don't think a lot of people remember, is that the system lets Luke move. Usually people are just so used to Luke being thrown out of play to get the flip side and the redraw and all that, all those benefits. But there are some additional text on some of these extra Octo sites. We got an Emperor, we got a Shuttle. He's going to grab a Force Lightning. That's pretty solid, holding down that drain of 1. You got 8 power, you've got 2 Battle Destiny, and then you're adding 1 to the total with Saber 1. Alright, Kyle's going to go big here, and he's just going to draw a monster hand. And we'll see if this is the deck that Marines chose not to put a Grimtosh in. I wouldn't put it past him to use his once per game pull to get the Grimtosh. He's going to grab the Force Projection. Alright. So Leia's going to the site with Ahsoka. So strong. She's essentially immune to less than 6 and can't be hit by permanent weapons. And he'll add Obi for backup, so he's really just kind of tanking up here. Does this guy still deploy as a react? May deploy as a react. Yeah, it's pretty brutal. He's going to throw a card back that he doesn't need, so he can give himself a little more room to draw something better. He draws Rose. That could certainly be helpful. Kyle's got 19 to work with. Alright, so he got 4-Lom out. He can cycle some cards with 4-Lom once per turn. He's kind of a 3PO. There's Maul. He's got 5 cards left, but there's a decent chance that Luke gets put out of play. He saved plenty of force. He is going to deploy Cal Alder as a react here to make him pay for those swings. Now, he's got plenty of force with which to use. Oh, he's just going to flip. He's going to say, screw it. He's going to flip and put Luke out of play, so he's not going to get any of the benefits of this site anymore. Because this particular site, Luke has to be here. Some of the, 1 or 2 of the sites say, well, Luke here or out of play. This is not one of those sites. He will I have you now to add a Battle Destiny, which Marines is going to grab on the real grabber. It'd be really dumb to grab a Lost Interrupt on this grabber and then let your opponent put it back in their deck. The stupid side of the Legend objective is that you cancel their swings, but you still get to swing yourself. Although we saw his Destiny was not looking very good, so the chances of him hitting Maul here are pretty minor. Yeah, he draws a 1 and a 5. Is this a replay? Yes, Dan, this is a replay. That's why I'm able to pause it with this little button over here. JustShy plays a Dark Time to keep his Destiny draws from being modified or canceled. unless being redrawn. So he can still get redrawn. So the 5 gets, so Ahsoka doesn't subtract 1 is what that essentially did. But he uses the objective to make him redraw the 5. Kyle then gets the Sith Fury to take P-59 to redraw that. Redraws that into Dooku, which is no good. And Tarkin, which also cannot be modified. So Tarkin's only going to be... All right. This I don't agree with. So Tarkin's only a 1 because it can't be modified from a dark time. So he's got a total combined battle destiny of 2, to which Brian is going to play a force projection. Once per game, opponent just drew destiny. Draw destiny and subtract that amount from opponent's total battle destiny. So he's going to try and draw and subtract from his opponent's total of 2. Seems to me like he would save this for a better situation, unless what he's really banking on is that he's going to draw something and reduce the attrition from 2 to 0, and then he'll have to lose nothing. It's like there's some cards here you can afford to lose. You've got a resilience in hand. You could clearly lose Obi and redeploy him and Rey next turn. I mean, Maul's going to die anyway, so it's not like you're really in. Cal Alder can go. Your opponent seems to be saving plenty of force and doesn't have a whole lot to do with it. So I would recommend saving the force projection for a better day. Um, just so happens that his opponent's going to sense it anyway. And he draws a 6. So the sense will be successful because the Emperor's on the table. Force projection is lost because that part's not immune. Is that what it is? I just read the card. I'm sorry. No, neither part of it is immune. I feel like isn't there something that makes it immune to sense? Maybe not. And Marines just draws a 1. So Kyle's going to lose Maul and a card. Yeah, you're just going to forfeit Obi and he's going to resilience him back. Again, he's really selling out hard on this Cal Alder idea of the force denial. Force doesn't really seem to be an issue for your opponent. I probably would have just ditched Cal Alder and then, tried to retrieve him with battling or Rose or something. And Marines will pull the shield now. Cold Feet for an extra shield for Darkside, and we've got the Coward out now. That will stop retrieval from things like Leia and Rose for the interim. And Kyle saves some force so that way he can get his Dark Time back. He peaks. He's got a 7 and a 6. Well, if he had anywhere to battle his opponent, those would be great to put the two of them together on top of your reserve deck. But alas, he does not, so he'll move them to his force pile. Give himself extra force to use, and that will also cycle those 2 cards together to the bottom of his reserve deck, where he perhaps can take advantage of that on a future turn. And instead, he's not going to deploy anything. He's just going to draw the Fly Casual. He'll throw back the 7, so there's putting the 7 back right where he can track it on the bottom of the deck. And there's the Tantive. Tandem to the Death Star could be pretty strong here. Set your course. Certainly not a popular dark side deck to begin with, but with how prevalent the Tantive is, it certainly makes the Death Star a big liability. Oh, it's on the cliffs. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, I said I knew it was one of the Octo things or something like that that did something with force projection. It's just on one of the sites that nobody plays. All right. So Kyle's going to put P-59 over there at the old docking bay. He's going to U-3PO to block the ground drain. So he can't force drain at the Death Star, but what he can do, of course, is satisfy battle plan, so he can drain here. I'm going to guess more of what Kyle's trying to do is take over his opponent's locations, kind of as a more of a mains style deck. He's got a Hujix and an Anakin's lightsaber. He's going to put those on top of his reserve deck. That will allow him to possibly deploy Anakin and get that matching saber. Put Anakin here or something. He's going to play a leadership to cause a force loss, which is going to get grabbed. There goes Mara in ship. Force to put Corrin Horn down to break the cover. And here comes Tantive to the Death Star with Anakin, and I would hope Padme. Yep, okay. That's not bad. It's a pretty strong play. You've got decent forfeit and whatnot there, but you have to remember the fact that you are playing against a space-heavy deck here in combat response. We've seen a couple of ships. Obviously, there's going to be a few more if he's combat responsing. He's not just going to combat response for Saber 1. Very likely to be a Boba Fett and a Slave 1. I think I said Saber 1, meant Saber 1 earlier. And then possibly something else, maybe a Vader shuttle kind of situation. So this is decent, but you don't have a lot of room to work with, and you don't have a lot behind it. Kyle does pull firepower, though, and he will retrieve the Mara ship because he has the battleground sight and system, and his opponent did not battle. He can probably throw away that projection of a Skywalker. Instead, he's going to top deck the Hujix. Zuckus to Miss Hunter certainly could be. Yep, there's the Vader shuttle that we just talked about. Padme will cancel Vader's game text. But methinks there may be a Grand Moff Tarkin. Oh, there's a Boba Fett. Okay, Fett still adds destiny when he's with Vader. Let's pull that up. And there's Tarkin as well. Adds one battle destiny with Vader or when piloting Slave 1. So it's an or situation there. So, and then there's Tarkin as well, who also adds a destiny when he's with Vader. So this is 3 battle destiny right here, even without Vader's game text applying. Vader's text is what gives the shuttle immunity to attrition, though, so that's kind of an important thing to notice. And there's the first strike to try to slow down any light side interrupts. I'll get a force retrieval off of this, get the force push back, make his opponent lose another card. He top decks the Anakin's lightsaber. Padme's going to add a destiny to attrition. Darkseid's going to add a battle destiny with Tarkin. So we got 3 draws here. He did not do the Boba Fett exchange, so he must be feeling fairly confident in what his destiny draws are in this situation. And again, he's just trying to get to 9 with 3 draws. And there he is. There's the magic number 9. Why 9, you say? Well, because Anakin forfeits for 8. And Padme forfeits for 7. 3 draws, you're probably not going to get to 16 to get rid of all 3 things. But if you can get to 9, you guarantee that he gets rid of both characters, and then it's just an empty Tantive with nowhere to run. So then that begs the question of what does Marines have behind it? That's going to sting a little bit, not going to lie. Drawing a 0. Anakin does make it a 1, but certainly not what Brian was hoping for, hoping to draw a pretty decent Destiny. And then he follows it up with Found Someone You Have, which we're going to take a closer look at. Find one of your missing characters, or retrieve the topmost character of your lost pile into hand. I would not play this card, especially in this style of deck. Um, it's there's going to be a lot of situations I feel like we've seen so far this game. We're already on turn 6, where he's not occupying 2 battlegrounds for Coward. So retrieving a topmost character of your lost pile back into hand, not going to be as easy to play off as you want. It's also Destiny 3, which isn't great to begin with. Very rare that any of your characters go missing anymore. Good picture of Yoda, but I wouldn't use this card. I know it's decent recursion and whatnot, but it is retrieval, so it does get hit by Coward. It will get hit by things like code clearance in a variety of games. And when you're trying to do other forms of retrieval, like on the edge, the last thing you want to do is telegraph a card like that your opponent can then entice them to play code clearance, which is then going to screw up some of your later game retrieval options. All right. Vader gets his game text back now that Padme's gone. He's got a peek. He's got a 6 and a 7. Those seem like good cards to put on top of your reserve deck. And he will. Now he just needs to find a way to draw multiple Battle Destiny somewhere. But it doesn't seem like he's got that option. He does have the option available to him, though, to On the Edge. On the Edge seems pretty wicked with... Yep, he is going to On the Edge here. And he is going to say 5. He's going to draw the 7 if you put them back right. Why didn't he say 6? Some of you might be wondering. It's in case his opponent has a Dark Time in it back in his hand. He did draw it for Destiny earlier, so you know he's playing at least 1. So that could certainly be problematic if you see your opponent running that card. You got to be careful, and a lot of decks do, especially with Throne Room still being so popular, that they can subtract 1 from it, and then you end up tying, which then kills your guy. So On the Edge, target a rebel of ability greater than 2. Choose a number from 1 to 6. You may retrieve that amount from your lost pile if you now draw 1 Destiny. Wow, this wording on this card is pretty bad. Greater than chosen number. If you fail, rebel is lost. So he picks 5. He just has to draw higher than 5, so 6 or 7, and then he gets to retrieve 5. If he draws the 7, if he draws the 6 or whatever, if he says 6 and his opponent, and he draws the 7, his opponent plays the Dark Time to reduce 1. The Destiny now becomes a 6, which means it's a tie, which means he fails, which means the guy dies. That was not a good explanation. I apologize for that. That was really worded confusingly. Much like my apology. All right, so then on the edge goes Lost. So we got back Padme, Anakin, Anakin's lightsaber, Hujix, and Rey with lightsaber. So he got back 5 very low Destiny cards, which seems to be a pattern in this deck. It's a lot of low Destiny cards, which doesn't make interacting with other people as good. And then he's going to initiate battle here. He'll retrieve 1 with the first strike to get the on the edge back, make his opponent lose 1. Now his opponent does the Boba Fett exchange. He's going to draw the 6 for Battle Destiny, which his opponent's going to reduce with Vader to make it a 4. And this thing is immune to less than 5. He's going to cause the redraw here. And he does not have any force available, so he will get no Battle Destiny out of this. So that works out in his favor. Thank you, Gold Leader and Gold 1, for still being a pain in the ass. So now Kyle's got to peel 5 cards in order to keep his Space Fleet intact, which he does, losing Sith's Fury, Force Lightning, Sense, Short Range Combo, and the Dark Time. And I expect it to be likely here. We're going to see a few more things come down to back this up with this 9-card hand, and he's going to clear this stuff out. Oh, he's going to go to the other ground site with Dooku. Interesting. That would be a prime time for a Zuckuss. He wouldn't have enough ability to draw. But instead, he's just going to battle, retrieve with the first strike, get the Dark Time back, make his opponent lose a force. He top decks Lando from reserve deck. There's a Dark Maneuvers. That's going to boost the maneuver to make this a maneuver 7 now, because it's maneuver +2 while Vader piloting. And it is a battleground because of the Tantive. I think we're going to see a spin here. He draws the 1 of Lord Sidious. No. No. Oh, there it is. So he does substitute a 7 with the spin. Tantive only forfeits for 7. So he's got 8 for a total. That's going to clear out both ships. And his opponent's draw is just a 1, which Darkseid doesn't really care about because it doesn't do anything to them. So Lightside's now going to lose a bunch of ships, and they're going to be kind of poo-pooed up there. And while they certainly have a card advantage after the retrieval, they've got 28 cards to 18. They've got a nice little 10-card advantage. Darkseid has a lot of stuff on the table. The other advantage of the Dark Maneuvers is it also adds 2 to hyperspeed, which gives the shuttle hyperspeed 7, and that allows it to make the jump from the Death Star out to Mustafar to join these other guys. I guess he's banking on the fact that he won't have a way to retrieve the Tantive or any way to get back to here, and he's just going to load up on protect the only battleground system on the table. And if necessary, he can move the Death Star a few parsecs, and then some of these guys can make the hyperspeed jump back. Much like we saw a little bit in the last game, First Strike can have that double-edged effect when your opponent just starts doing hit-and-run attacks. like this with Leia and Rey and First Strike. So he's going to get to retrieve one from Leia's text to get the gold leader back. First Strike will let him retrieve one. That'll get him the Tantive back. And he's going to get the swing here, but given that we've seen him retrieve a whole big pile of low destiny cards, there's a decent chance here that Rey's going to miss. Seems likely that old Rey is going to miss this one. On the plus side, it does give him an opportunity to play that too close for comfort. Yeah, see, these are all the cards that he retrieved. Because he paid to put somebody down, and then played the on the edge, and then drew the destiny, and then paid 5 and retrieved all the cards. He does get to play the too close for comfort here, though, to stop Rey from getting shot. And since plan A didn't go very well, instead he's just going to clash P-59 to end the battle so he can keep Rey on the table. For a full sequence of turns. That's not a bad move. Plan A didn't go very well because you've got a mountain of low destiny cards in your deck that, even with thrown back and the manipulation from the objective, it still seems like it's going to be a bit of a challenge to actually hit people. And now Kyle's going to set up a decent destiny with a short-range fighter combo. But Kyle's not doing much damage outside of battling. It certainly is a battle-heavy deck. He's going to win space and then have a token ground presence. There's a Maul. There's a Dr. E. There's an Afra. And he's going to retrieve a Probot into hand. And he's got 2 force saved, which would be just enough for good old Callie Alder to pay to swing. It's an interesting matchup. All right, so he's got a 3-5 here. He can manipulate those together. Throw those back both on top of the old reserve deck. And instead he's going to move them to his force pile. Okay. I would have thought he had to put them on top of the reserve deck so that he could guarantee that he, hits some people. Leia's got her gun right here. 3-5 seems pretty good. You just shoot Dr. E, take him out of the battle. This I don't necessarily like. This seems like overkill. Adding mace. It's very likely that your opponent has the kick here, so I don't know that you need the old Mace Windu to pick off everybody else. He does get 2 retrieval out of it, though, and that's the other advantage of keeping Rey on the table. So we'll get back to Clash and a Lando. And now you got to do Leia's gun at Dr. E. Got to get Dr. E off the table. Okay. Dr. E, go bye-bye. is going to get some key swings in here. Gonna pick off Corn Horn. Gonna pick off Rose. I'm guessing would probably be the two likely culprits. Oh, actually, did he only have one destiny left? I thought he had two force saved. Maybe he only had one force. Alright, well, he is going to hit, and he is going to take out Corn Horn there. I thought he had two force saved for some reason, that he could swing twice, but he does not. Unless something glitched out there. No, according to chat, he only spent a force. Okay. I must have just miscounted when I was looking at it. No worries. It happens. And there's this nice big chunk of garbage destiny. There you go. There's a dark time to activate a force. Alright, so apparently I was just seeing in the future to the point where he had an extra force available. Mace is going for big air. He's going to miss. Horribly. Should have just hit U3PO. There you go. Hit U3PO, hit Afra. You've got a 12 power advantage. And clear them out that way. Instead he swings for Maul, which misses. So now nobody's forfeit 0. So those two droids over there, I'm not even sure why U3PO is still there, why he didn't claim U3PO. And then he'd have the extra power and forfeit available. Maul swinging at Leia here. Not going to get it done starting off with a 1, but a 5 would help. Oh, it's just a 4. And there's a lowly 2, which will just clear the U3PO. Let's see what extra force loss Kyle's going to have to take here. It's not going to be too bad. He's down 10. He can lose U3PO and Afra for 6, and then he could ditch 4 cards to keep Maul. That's a possibility. Nope. He's just going to lose Maul and Afra. Oh, and U3PO. Wasn't sure how deep Kyle wanted to commit here to that site. With Mace there now, it is a drain of 2. So it is a little bit more to be concerned about. He is a little behind on force too, because of all the retrieval that Brian has done. Alright, P59 can battle now because it was the end of his opponent's next turn. So here we go. He gets the U3PO back, which was kind of important the way he forfeited people because he killed Corran Horn. So if he can track the U3PO back around and 4-lom it back into hand, which he'll do next turn, he can just go lock down that drain again over there and then just be content to grind the game out one turn, one force at a time in space. Alright. Well, P59 will miss after the redraw. And Rey will get a swing here. There's the Luke's hut. What does this site do again? Is this the one they don't lose force to? Yeah, you don't lose force to the Black Sun objective. Alright, P-59's hit. He's forfeit 0, but his forfeit's irrelevant because of the objective, which says you take no battle damage at Death Star sites. Let's speed this up a little bit. He just draws a 1, which is good enough to clear Ray. This feels like a 1995 Premier Mains deck where you're just drawing 1s for every battle because you played so many multiple copies of guys and their weapons and everything. Brian does have a handful of good cards for high destiny cards. We've seen them. Usually they're in his hand, but he's going to pull Fly Casual here. He's going to pull the Tantive in a second. He moves Vader's shuttle to Octo. Okay. Trying to catch it when he plays the Fly Casual to get the Tantive. He didn't. I really thought he would. I kind of wanted to just count the overall destiny in this deck and just see if it's just that he's drawn clumps of low destiny cards or if it really is just a big pile of low destiny stuff to begin with. And I missed it. Oh well. While you occupy a site, its game text is canceled. Players may not force drain here. So neither side can drain here. But he could land. He could land Vader's shuttle at the saddle here, and then he could drain for 2. He's got a battleground site and system to get around simple tricks, although his opponent is shield busted right now anyway. But yeah, he could land that here, and that should certainly speed things up, because right now he's getting out drained. 3 to 1 because of the objective here. So, and now he's going to draw all these low cards again. Now that he's activated everything, he's going to pick up that clump of stuff that he retrieved, and luckily also gets Hera to go with it. So it seems like Brian's going to be in a good spot here. The following turn is we're going to see Tantive and Hera at the Death Star. Pardon me. And since he has the Force available, he may just put Gold Eater right back down with it. There's the U-3PO. Back again. Marines would need a Jedi Levitation. He'll get his guys out now. Still not doing a whole lot of damage, though. It's a drain of 1 and 2, so he's got 3 total. But his opponent is now locked out. He's not doing any. We'll see if he's got a Sorry About the Mess, which in a deck with this many weapons, you would think he would have. But we haven't seen one yet. We do see a solo, though, so there's a possibility of playing one from the Lost Pile. So he splits everybody up. Yeah, the Emperor's shuttle moves over to the system. Not quite sure. Oh, because it may still count as a battle. I don't think it counts as a battleground. I think it's a special rules thing like Dagobah, where it's just not a battleground. So he's got Fett there. He's got the shuttle. He's got 2 battlegrounds. See, this would be the kind of situation where you need like a 3PO to set up that on the edge. Interesting. He only saved 1 force, so he's going to try and kick him off the battleground system because Kyle moved the shuttle over. Not sure why he did that. And there's the someone who loves you. I'm trying to found someone you have, rather, to try to retrieve the topmost character. I'm not sure which character that was he was even trying to retrieve, but Kyle's going to sense it and is successful. And then he'll decree the loss from 2 to 1. And Obi's going to go all the way over there. If only he had a shield pull. Alright, so he'll first strike to get a card back. Hera's going to get him a second Destiny. Darkseid's only going to get one Destiny, which is then going to get redrawn by the objective, and he's going to not have any force, so he's going to do nothing. The question is what's the power difference going to be? Okay. There is a 5 in there, so that'll get rid of everything, and he'll lose nothing in return. I'm not sure why Kyle moved the shuttle away. That may have been just a mental error there on his part. I don't know. You guys have any suggestions what he was thinking moving the shuttle away? He's just going to go ahead and concede at this point. He's way too far behind, and his opponent's going to end up between more retrieval, and I'll throw the tandem over here at some point. So congrats to Marines on picking up the win. Um, Certainly an interesting deck choice, although again, I'll just I don't, some good tricks in it. Obviously, with the force denial sections of it between Gold Leader and Cal Alder and Too Close for Comfort and things like that. Those are certainly, you know, a good strategy, and it does have a good synergy with what this objective is capable of doing, especially with the redraw options here as well. Kind of really hamstrings your opponent and their uh, card choices. So congrats to Marines for picking up the win and for showing us a different take on Legend. Take a quick peek in the old GEMP lobby, see if there's anything going on here. We've got Kipple playing a Set Your Course deck against Polymer's Hitco, so it seems kind of like a bit of a reversal from what we've got going on there. And then we've got Huge playing Watto instead of his stunning move droid deck. I guess he's giving it a break against Brenson's old allies that he's been playing for 9 years. Looks like somebody's trying to get an OCS game in as well. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to wrap up our show for tonight. I forgot he can't train. Yeah, that'd be my lucky test. So, uh, yeah, just kind of forgot that because it's on the other side of the card. So, but we're going to wrap up tonight's show. We've been going for an hour and 15 minutes already. Thank you guys very much for tuning in tonight and watching. Be sure to watch the Hollow Theater show this Wednesday. I don't know who Dan will have on as a guest with he and Queso to talk to, an interview, if there is a guest at all this week. Um, and we'll be, bringing you more content between OCS games, people streaming those, of course, on the official PC Twitch channel. And a few people may also start streaming some of their GEM PC games, and we'll try and get you some of the later rounds when we get into the, Final Four and the finals. We'll try and get those games live streamed if we can, depending on when they're played. Looks like Coffee Pass and Time of UP might be trying to get their match in as well, although that was about an hour ago. Oh, game up. Did they finish? Did we miss their entire game? I guess maybe we did. Or maybe he went away and the other guy got bored. I don't know. But we'll see you back here next Monday night. Thank you guys for tuning in and have a great evening.